You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hi, I'm Joe Heath.
I'm Toni Heath.
And this is the Watch-A-Thon of Rassilon.
The podcast you are listening to. Hopefully on purpose.
How would you listen by accident?
I don't know. It's happened to me before.
You live an interesting life. Today we're going to be talking about the 5th and kind of final serial of the 17th season of Doctor Who, The Horns of Nimon, which consists of 4 episodes that aired from December 22nd, 1979 to January 12th, 1980. We did it! We're in the 80s, baby!
You're so happy.
I'm so happy.
It's
I'm so
where
excited.
you belong.
It is. This is the moment I've been waiting for this whole podcast.
Even though you were born in 89, but okay.
Yeah, I'm still a child of the 80s.
True facts!
And I want to give a special shout out to Matt Golden for sponsoring this episode.
Hey, thanks, Matt.
You can follow him on social media.
Wherever, whatever pops up when you Google Matt Golden.
Yeah.
Follow him there.
I don't know where he's currently residing. It could be Twitter. He said he doesn't do Tumblr anymore, but that was the one I used to do, and now I'm lost. I should just text him and be like, "Hey, Matt, what do I say?"
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure his Twitter is private.
Well, then don't follow him there.
He's always on Facebook.
You know what?
That's
Just
true.
be aware that he exists.
Yeah.
You don't have to get in contact with him.
Yeah, you do. Bug him. Ask him his opinions on Spider-Man movies.
Ask him about the X-Files. He wants to talk to you about the X-Files. It doesn't matter who you are. He wants to talk to you about the X-Files.
Today, joining us to talk about the Horns of Nimon, we have 2 returning guests.
Ooh.
They haven't been on the podcast together before. They've been
Yes,
on
we
separate.
have.
They
Well, you
have.
have?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, you're right.
Robots of Death.
I can't remember anything. I can't remember the cereal we're about to talk about.
Honestly, me either. I'm going to be relying real heavily on everybody else.
It is the best Doctor Who serial.
Those are very strong words.
We'll see.
Very strong words.
Today we have R. Alan Siler and Ashley Raburn. Welcome back to the program.
Program.
Howdy, how's everybody doing?
Been good. How are you guys? Answer at the same time.
Please. We do not have a lot of time here.
We're great.
Yes.
Anything interesting been going on with you guys lately?
Well, I formed a business.
Oh yeah, that's
right.
cool.
I've been self-publishing books under the banner Cosmic Press, and I formed it into a business. So I am now the owner of a publishing company.
You are the publisher.
I am the publisher, and soon be publisher of other people as well as myself.
Awesome.
I'm an author. Just putting that out there.
I hear you.
Speaking of, I've been reading. I bought your books at the last Hulanta. Literally, the last Hulanta.
one.
Shed a tear.
Sad.
And I've got the greatest Doctor Who episodes. You've since updated it, but I have the older version. Top 55 episodes, right?
Yes.
Are you
I
about
couldn't
to
help but
start an
notice.
argument?
No, I couldn't help but notice the Horns of Nimon not on that list.
So this is a point of contention that I have with Alan, because I did the art in that book, right? I drew the pictures in that book.
Yep.
And I was really disappointed that I didn't get to draw a Nimon.
I mean, you can draw one, and I'll just slap it in somewhere.
Slap it in somewhere, just randomly. No, but I can't draw just one. I have to draw 3.
Exactly. We can just scatter them randomly throughout the book.
I think we should just do a book about Nimons. It would have 3 chapters.
Right.
3 pages, maybe 3 words.
Empire of Horns.
Empire of Horns is actually one of the, when I do Empires of Who, like the generic one, Empire of Horns will be on it. Yes. And also, if I ever do my fan fiction, it'll be the Horns of Peladon.
That sounds so you.
That is in my head, man. I've been working on that for like 3 years.
Let's talk about Doctor Who.
Yeah, we're about to do Horns of Nimon, which is technically the last serial of the season. It was supposed to be Shadow, but that got canned and now has become 18 different things.
So poor Graham Williams goes out on this one, which at least one person thinks is the best Doctor Who ever.
That's right.
Oh man, I got a feeling you two are gonna start fighting, and I'm for it.
Yeah, this is gonna be an exciting one.
Well, it's the best for a few reasons. One thing that I will not talk about on the mics, I will tell you later. But I have all these great stories about Horns of Nimon for whatever reason. So,
well, let's get into it. Let's get horny for Nimon.
Oh God, I knew you were gonna make that joke. I didn't know it was gonna be so soon. I wasn't prepared for it.
I mean, these jokes write themselves.
No,
Tony.
that's what happens when you go for the low-hanging fruit.
I'm all about that low-hanging fruit. Let's dive into episode 1. Does anybody else have titles, or is it just me?
I always forget to come up with titles. When I rewatch the things, I think, okay, I got to remember to come up with really funny episode titles, and then I completely forget as I'm watching the story.
I have a title for all the episodes that's pretty funny. The Horns of Nimon.
That's very imaginative.
I'm just saying, I don't think you can get much more funny than that.
I don't think mine are funny, so we're good. My episode 1 is called The Great Contract.
Okay.
I don't remember what that's about.
Great. We are off to a stellar start.
Well, there was some arrangement between the Nimon and the people of whatever this place is called.
Skanos?
Second Skanan Empire, right?
Oh, yeah. That's it. Skanos.
I mean, how do you forget that? It's
I don't know.
He says it every 2 seconds.
Yeah, every time he goes through the curtain.
I can't wait till we get to talking about him, because he's great.
He is amazing. He was almost the 4th Doctor.
Boy.
He was approached for it. I mean, he turned it down pretty quickly, but he was at least in the running for it. He talks about that on the commentary on the DVD.
And he would have played it exactly the same.
Fantastic. It would have been my favorite era.
Him and Tom Baker were quite good friends. So they were playing off each other on this so hard. So it just Tom Baker made it even worse than it would have been.
Tom Baker was encouraging this nonsense.
Yes, he was.
There's
Perfect.
almost no one in this serial who's not going full ham, which is probably the best. That's the best thing that it has going for it.
Except for Seth.
Yeah, Seth's a little bland. The first ham we get, though, we start off on an old ship that's got 2 pilots who have no names, by the way. They're just pilot and co-pilot. I think they get names in the novelization, but
we don't care.
We don't care. Co-pilot is the one that's he's the jowl shaking of the 2.
Scum.
Weakling scum.
He has the best line in, I don't remember which episode it is, but there's a bit where a Nimon is coming at him, and he just goes, "No! Really?" while shaking his whole face. This is great. They are bringing some cargo to their planet.
That's what they say, and then he goes to go check on the cargo, and it's people. That's so rude.
Turns out it's man.
And
they are prisoners in these neat-looking yellow jumpsuits, and they are from Aneth. Which all of these terms are slightly scrambled terms from something.
We're doing some mythology shit.
From Greek, so it's an anagram of Athens. Almost, without the S.
And what's Skanos? What's that? Or Skanen? Or whatever? What's that?
I don't know.
Neither.
You're the one who studied Greek mythology, not me.
Yeah, I immediately forgot all of it.
Oh,
too.
okay.
I know there was an Odyssey. That's about all I remember. The co-pilot pokes them with a stick a little bit, tells them to be quiet. We also have the first instance of what I would say is some pretty not greatly thought out set design.
That's the truth.
Oh, yeah. The floors. They look great. I guess they're...
Literally.
Yes, they are great. I did not mean to do that, and I'm sorry. But they're very loud.
Clank, 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 clank. It's not just on the ship either. It's also at the Skanan Empire. There's the floors that lead into it. I think they quickly realized how loud it was and stopped having scenes where they're walking across it, but it's so loud.
I mean, it's probably authentic, They were going for authenticity. I'm sure that a ship that old, that's exactly how it would sound. Now, whether that's good for television or not, that's totally beside the point.
The thing is, do you want it to be authentic, or do you want to be able to hear the dialogue?
Well, it's a coin toss.
I mean, I want to hear the dialogue because there's some choice dialogue in this serial.
That is true. This is a good serial for dialogue.
But the co-pilot wants to go fast, and because he wants to go fast, he explodes the ship a bit by pushing it too hard.
Which, he's like, I think we could do it in 10 hours. And he's like, we could do it in 4! Like, the jump that he makes is so unreasonable. And then he's like, nah, it'll be fine. Because they've been doing this for, like, how long? Like, ages. They've been, I guess, getting sacrifices and taking them for reasons.
But this was the last one, right?
Yeah, this is going to be their last voyage.
They just found out it was the last one, and all of a sudden, I think it's like when you really have to pee, and like once you get within eyesight of the bathroom, you're like, all right, that's it.
It's go time.
Yeah. That is his reaction. He just finds out that this is the last one, and he's like, well, fuck, let's go twice as fast then.
But here's the thing. He is the one who, like 30 seconds earlier, was griping about how awful the computers are and how slow everything is and how everything's about to break down. And then as soon as he gets that news, he's like, it doesn't matter. Let's go fast.
And then he causes the ship to explode, and it kills the pilot.
Not a great choice.
He was boring anyway.
Boring pilot anyway.
So now we cut to the Doctor, fiddling with stuff in the TARDIS, reading the manual for it, I believe.
Possibly the only time he's ever done such a thing.
Though he's arguing with it as he reads it. Turn off the things except the things that you shouldn't turn off. Thanks. Then we get a very good what could go wrong joke where he says that and things go wrong immediately. And I think he says it twice, and every time the ship goes. This is the most comedy one I think we've had so far. Like, just straight up, just comedy.
I mean, straight up camp. I mean, just not even comedy. It is camp.
Straight up silly.
Yeah, saying comedy might be giving it too much credit.
Yeah.
There are certainly jokes.
K9 gets hurt in the crash, and the Doctor tries to give him mouth to mouth?
And I tell you what, this is the silliness of this story. There's lots of examples, but it's all kind of comes down to the Graham Williams era. To me, is that K9 gets used in the most nonsensical ways. I mean, I know it's supposed to be funny and it's supposed to be cute for the children and stuff, but it's just crazy. Like when he's speaking and you put your hand over his, quote unquote mouth, and he's suddenly muffled. Like, how does that work?
The really bizarre nitpicky thing from me is that there have been times where the Doctor will cover his mouth, but he's not covering his mouth, he's covering his nose. And I'm like, his mouth is actually down there. And it's a robot. It literally makes no difference. But my brain is like, he's not anywhere near his mouth, though. He's just breathing into his nose. Because
it has that convenient straw.
Exactly.
He's breathing into his gun.
Exactly. He's putting a gun in his own mouth.
Let's hope that, the robots don't take over and K9's the one. He's like, oh, he's breathing into my mouth. I'm just going to blow his head off. He'll regenerate anyways.
We've also had K9 sneezing and coughing.
And having laryngitis.
But let's be fair, all that stuff happened to the Lost in Space robot as well. I guess it's in, he's got good precedent.
My favorite is when robots get drunk, but...
Yeah, that's always good.
True.
They see the ship, the ship that the unnamed co-pilot is on, and they crash into it? They're being pulled to it, right?
Yes.
I don't think they really made that point very clear. It becomes a point of gravity, I guess, and so all these other things are attracted to it. Just like in Underworld, the Leela story a season or so back, So I don't know. It just didn't make any sense. It seemed like an unnecessary plot point to me.
Yeah, it's not super important, except that it's like, oh, thing's happening. We should go there.
Yeah, I think there's something about a black hole or something that ties into the last episode. But around this time, we also cut to Skanos, or whatever you call it, the Skanan Empire, and we meet for the first time. He comes out of the CSO curtain,
which I thought looked pretty nice.
Yeah, that's actually pretty neat. We meet Soldeed for the first time.
Yes,
who is amazing in his hamminess.
Yes, he is.
My notes just says, Soldeed has talked to Nimon, and he is a lot. Nimon says many things.
My favorite thing about this is that, like, later you actually see him talk to Nimon. Like, he talks to the Nimons, and the Nimons are like, okay, well, you need to do this. And, like, he comes back out, and he's like, he said this, and he talked about this, and he talked about that. And it's like, I just watched that happen, and you're full of shit.
This guy was almost the fourth Doctor, you say?
That's the story.
There's some alternate universe where that happens. And in this serial, Tom Baker played Soldeed.
Which he would have just played like he played the wizard in the Golden Voyage of Sinbad.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Which would have been great to see that. To see Tom Baker play a villain in Doctor Who. So, what is this actor's name? It's Graham.
Hang on.
Norton. I don't know.
Yeah, Graham Norton as Soldeed.
That's it.
Graham Crowden.
For those of you or listeners or you guys who watch British comedies, he was the main character, the lead actor in a British sitcom about a like an old folks home. Waiting for God is the name of it. It's funny because he's very much older at this point in his life, but he's so verbose, and to see him play that, and then I didn't even realize he was Soldeed because I had seen that years. I mean, I had seen Nimon first, but I didn't put the two together. But he's a fantastic actor. He just loves camp. And he said that. If you've listened to, I highly recommend anyone who is watching Horns of Nimon or playing along with the podcast here to watch or listen to the commentary on the DVD. It is quite good. I think it's Lalla Ward, the actress that plays Tika, and him. There are some great stories in there, and there's actually one part in there where the actress that plays Tika, they're talking about Tom Baker and Lalla Ward saying something, and she goes, "Weren't you married to him?" And she's like, "Yes, we don't talk about that." I mean, it just like it came up, like it was so like I think they forget sometimes they're in front of the mics, but yeah, he is a fantastic actor, and if you've never seen him in Waiting for God, I would recommend it.
The girl that played Tika is Janet Ellis, and she did a lot of acting, but she went on to be a presenter on Blue Peter for many years, and is pretty much the one who conducted the first interviews as the Doctor with Peter Davison, Colin Baker, and Sylvester McCoy.
Oh, cool.
So she kind of kept her Doctor Who ties throughout the rest of her television career anyway.
All I could think when I saw Soldeed was that, to me, he looked exactly like, I'm blanking on his name, but the Master from Curse of the Fatal Death.
Yeah, because he has that whole robe thing going on.
And he's got the same facial hair. And
to me, he looks and sounds and acts exactly like, if anyone is a Voyager fan, Chaotica. Dr. Chaotica. Okay, if you don't watch any Voyager, you have to watch that one episode, The Bride of Chaotica. It's amazing.
We do eventually want to do...
That is still one of our stretch goals on Patreon.
Is to do the Watch-A-Thon of Khan.
Very nice.
Alan knows, you guys probably know, I'm not a cosplayer in any shape, form, or fashion, but if someone was like, you have to cosplay a character, it would be Soldeed. That's the character in Doctor Who that I would go crazy and cosplay.
I would do the Siler
How?
I don't know. I'd figure it out.
Just be a frog.
Just be a frog.
I still think we should do Sherna and Vorg at some point, but...
That would be remarkable.
Or you could just be a Nimon. We'd only need 2 more.
It's not the 2 more. I can't not hear.
Every time. Every time.
So the Doctor has crashed into the ship. They extend the TARDIS door to the spaceship, and then they walk through space in this the hallway force field thing.
I think it's kind of a cool effect, actually. I think it looks really neat. But they even camp that up, though, where they can't just walk down an incline. They have to do all the silly, like wrapping the scarf around things, and that's just how it is in this season.
I was actually paying attention to that when I was rewatching it. They are doing it on an incline, and I'm curious how they shot that. It would be interesting to know if they shot it straight and they just it wouldn't surprise me if they just tilted it somehow, which is probably what they did. But yeah, I thought that was a really cool effect too. I mean, for what it is and when it was.
They 60s Batman'd it.
There's one shot where it's kind of like a POV shot from inside that little tunnel thing, looking down to the hatch of the other ship, and it's really cool looking. They did a great job with that, I thought.
I mean, you have to think they're one season away from that amazing new opening that they're going to do. And that the way they did that opening is amazing. But so I mean, the technology is starting to catch up with the BBC, and I think, and not that this was hugely technological what they did, because you're right, they tilted the camera and they did that, but it's starting to catch up. We're starting to see some neat things happen.
They get on board the ship, and then they find the cargo and get some exposition from them. The Doctor offers them all jelly babies, because that's his thing. He
passes it around. He's like, everyone just take one. Like he specifies that everyone can only have one.
Otherwise, they might spoil their dinner.
They'll spoil their non-dinner. The dinner that comes under the door. Like, it just is pushed under the door.
But Seth and Tika. Seth is a prince. Tika...
Izzy?
Yeah, Izzy. And Tika just thinks he's the best. That's her whole thing, is just being like, boy, Seth, you're awesome. Awesome. You're going to do so many great things. And Seth is like, please.
Anyone help me.
And they say they're from Aneth. And the Doctor says, oh, I've been there, but not yet, because time travel. Yeah, and this is what they sort of figure out, that they're in a gravity whirlpool, and they think someone might be making a black hole. So that's why they're getting pulled into each other.
It just seems like they could have come up with some other story explanation to get the two things together, rather than creating this thing that doesn't have any bearing on the rest of the story at all. I mean, I guess it kind of does, doesn't it? Does it have something to do with how the Nimon travel?
It has something to do with the circuit that they're creating. The kind of energy that they're trying to like create.
Their Stargate of sorts.
Oh yeah.
So the Doctor and Romana bump into co-pilot,
who's now just the pilot, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Basically, the ship is broken. The Doctor is looking at it, and he's going to fix it. He also offers to take the co-pilot's gun, the pilot's gun, in a way that I thought was very Ford Prefect-like, where he's like, I'll just hold on to that. Like, you need to be going and doing other stuff. I'll just hold your gun for you and, hold myself up with it. Unlike in The Hitchhiker's Guide, where Prosser laid in the mud in place of Arthur Dent, the co-pilot does not fall for this.
And this, of course, is still during the time that Douglas Adams is script editor, so I would not be the least bit surprised that he slipped that line in. Like, that was one of his script amendments that he made.
I mean, Douglas Adams, I love him. But boy, howdy does he reuse stuff.
Oh, yeah. Like, every one of his books is based on something else he had done before. Probably a Doctor Who episode that hadn't been finished or used or something.
But also, while they're, like, looking at the ship and trying to figure out what's wrong with it, Romana is looking at stuff, and the Doctor offers her his screwdriver, and she's like, no, it's cool. I got my own. And the Doctor takes it like, oh, what? That's cool. And like, anyway, here you go. And like, hands it back.
He's like, it's not really as good as mine. And then when he hands it back, he hands his back and tries to steal hers. Because obviously it's much better.
Obviously.
Has that been made into a toy?
No, I don't think it has.
I don't believe so, no.
That's disappointing.
BBC, get on it. Or whoever does your toys.
They've done every other Sonic anything at all that the show has done. The Sonic pen and the whatever the Master's thing was.
They haven't done the Sonic Lance, have they?
No, they have not. That's true.
And have they done the second Doctor's Sonic screwdriver from the War Games? Because it's just like a black rod. Like it doesn't have anything that says Sonic screwdriver.
To be fair, Romana's doesn't look super fancy or anything. It doesn't look like there's a lot of like details to it. It's just kind of I think it's like green
and silvery, like a robot of death.
Hey, you guys were on that one. I remember now.
We were, yes. That was a fun one.
That one's in your book.
Oh, hell yeah.
But not Nimon.
Nope. I want to do a follow-up book that's basically like
the 50 worst episodes?
Yes, the Doctor's greatest misses or something like that, and do all the shitty ones, which I think would be so fun.
I think it would. Twin Dilemma?
Yeah.
Power of Crawl.
Oh, yeah.
Basically everything from like this season. Well, minus City of Death.
Yeah, I feel like we've been, like, this whole season we've been getting to the end of the podcast, and we're just like, that was an episode for sure. And we for sure watched it.
It's definitely not the best. I don't think it's been necessarily the worst. Still, Power of Crawl.
It's been competent, but, like, competent.
Yeah, not Power of Crawl, though. I thought Power of Crawl was so bad. That's the only one that I've been like, why are we still watching this? This is frustrating.
I don't know. I still prefer it to this one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You poor soul.
At least this one's fun. Power of Crawl is not fun. That's the problem.
Well, yeah, you got a point there.
But anyway, back to Nimon. Some more comedy. The Doctor goes to the TARDIS, and K9's just buried in ticker tape. And that's he also does the muffled voice thing. The Doctor talks to him a bit and gets some history on the two planets, Aneth and Skanos, and also picks up a plot device, which he'll use later in the story. Some sort of gadget thing. And then things are getting bad on the ship, as indicated by everything being in slow motion, and me thinking there was something wrong with the video file I was watching.
That caught me too, and I thought, wait. Are they doing this on purpose? Luckily, yes, they were.
I was literally about to stop the episode and be like, what happened? It's on purpose, I guess. I don't know what it was supposed to signify, that they were running out of oxygen or something.
Or that they're being sucked too much into the black hole.
That could be.
Oh, it's too much gravity.
Sure, let's go with that.
Yeah, that makes sense, as much sense as anything.
I honestly have no idea what happened in the scene, because the whole time I was just like, is this defective? I couldn't concentrate on it.
It just starts like it's on an edit, and it comes into this scene. You've already seen, this bit, and then it cuts away to the TARDIS or whatever, and then it comes back to this, and it has this weird visual and audio effect on it. And you're like, well, what does this mean? What the hell's going on?
But luckily they fix it, and that immediately stops.
So it was just weird for no reason.
Well, the co-pilot's like, all right, cool, getting out of here, and leaves with Romana, and K9 and the Doctor are still on the TARDIS. And Romana gets a nice scene where she goes and yells at the co-pilot a bit. Like, go back for him. You can't just leave him. He fixed your ship and everything. We need to wait for him. And then the co-pilot says, Nimon waits for no man!
I do like that, kind of like the Sunmakers, the Doctor and Romana are kept separate throughout the majority of this story, and it gives Romana a real chance to be, the sort of like in the Doctor role with her little companions, the Aneth tributes or whatever, and I think it's a really great Romana script. She gets so much good stuff to do in it. What was it? I was reading something where the guy who wrote it, who was the guy that wrote it, said that part of his idea was to give Tom a little bit of a break. Well, because instead of having to carry every single scene, he can only be in some of the scenes, and Romana carries all the rest of it. And so it was kind of give Tom a little bit of a break. But I think it's so good for Romana as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, they took that whole idea pretty seriously. I mean, even though, they've been doing this throughout this season, but they took the idea of the costume design even, right? Her costume even kind of mimics that of the Doctor. And like I said, it's done that for much of this season, for other episodes too, but that flowing coat kind of, and those things. I had a years ago, like it's when they changed the size of Doctor Who magazine to be the taller, more magazine size. I had an issue. It was the first issue I got when I got it in my folder at the comic shop, because it took them 3 months to actually order it. This was back in 1994 or 93. It would have been later than that. Yeah, no, about 94. And that cover, the first one that I got, that cover has a picture of Romana or Lalla Ward as Romana on this episode. And I always thought it was, as campy as the story is, there's some great still image set designs and things like that. You've got all these cool rope lights going all over the place a little bit later, and you've got that amazing costume. And Romana, even in that scene that you were just talking about, she looks at the guy and she's like, "Go back!" And she really owns that scene, right?
Oh yeah, she's a take charge gal in this story.
She steals this story in a lot of it, and a lot of people get angry at me, but I prefer Lalla Ward to Mary Tam as Romana. I absolutely adore her. Probably one of the reasons I do like this story so much is because she just owns this story.
Yeah, I'd have to say it has taken me a little bit to warm up to her as a Romana, because I did like Mary Tam so much. And the first couple of Romana episodes, I feel weren't necessarily super strong for her. Which is weird. I think the first one that I was like, oh, this is good, was the one that she apparently filmed first. But
and she wasn't happy with it at all.
Yeah.
Which was basically, I think, written when Mary Tam was still around. They didn't know what costume to give Lalla, so they just put her in something they would have put on Mary Tam. the very Mary Tam kind of Romana costume. So it was after that they really started to figure out what direction her character would go. I do love this costume, though. I think that the Horns of Nimon outfit for her is really great. Although, I will say that I think that if you're going into a story where it's basically you're confronting a bunch of bulls wearing a bright red, solid red jacket is not the wisest move.
Well, I mean, she didn't know that was coming, right?
But it looks fantastic. It's one of my favorite Romana costumes.
And she's got the red gloves, too. That's very nice. So the last two things we have in this episode, we get to see the Nimon for the first time.
The Nimon don't get to see anything. Ever.
I guess Soldeed goes to talk to him, and he walks out, and he's just a big old minotaur with two very pointy yellow horns, and I believe they're on lifts or shoes.
Yeah. Oh, massive platform shoes.
They walk like they can't see anything and don't want to run into things, and also don't want to fall over.
They walk like if you know what a Koopy doll is, they walk like a Koopy doll. It's like from the 50s. They have their hands out, and that's how they walk. It is hilarious.
Like they're afraid of falling at any moment, and they're going to catch themselves.
They walk
Wow.
like toddlers.
I hate that I've seen that now.
I just googled Koopy doll.
Well, I mean, and the gurgle that they put on their voices.
They sound like they have indigestion.
Aw.
I do like that, though. It gives them like a menace, even when they're not talking.
I'd love to see them show up in the new series and Nick Briggs do their voice.
And also to have not be so wobbly looking. There's also times that they're because they're clearly wearing like a big head, and there's times where it looks like it's just shifted uncomfortably on their body. And you can sort of see through it at points.
So does this get the award for the shittiest monster costume in all of Doctor Who? Can anyone name?
I don't know. I can.
Come on.
I can.
Come on. Can you name a worse example?
Let's tie someone up in bubble wrap
No.
and paint it green.
No, this is worse.
I'm trying to think, and I don't know.
I know, I'm like trying to run through monsters in my head.
I mean, Ark in space, man. I mean, they just tie bubble wrap around people and like writhe on the floor and paint it green. The Zarbi.
Oh no, they're fantastic.
Yeah, but they literally bump into the camera.
That's because they don't walk with their arms stretched out.
See, they've got a thing going for them.
The Vords are just spandex.
Yeah, the Vords are pretty bad. Like, they make me feel bad to look at.
Like you feel a little dirty afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm looking at something I shouldn't be, I
I
think.
feel like I'm watching a erotica version of the Power Rangers.
Right. Now I like it. I mean, when I look at the Power Rangers, I'm looking at kind of an erotic version of the Power Rangers in my own head.
This is true.
Those are high schoolers, Alan.
They are not the actors.
That's
Not
fair.
really.
Okay, and the last thing, to get away from our fetishes.
To move far, far away from that.
The last thing we see in this episode is there's a great big asteroid headed straight for the TARDIS.
Oh no!
And K9 and the Doctor embrace and prepare for impact.
I mean, K9 doesn't
Well,
actually do anything.
It's just like, I
He's
guess
just a tin dog.
I guess the weird man's hugging me again.
If he's not kissing me and holding my mouth, he's hugging me. And ugh.
That is the end of episode 1, and we are now into episode 2, which I have called Horny for Tributes.
Listen,
Nice.
you literally only get one of those. And this is your second one.
Okay, but I forgot I wrote that.
You better check ahead to see what 3 and 4 are.
Right.
I don't think I have any more horny ones, so we're good. We're good.
It's like horny for tributes, horny for Soldeed, horny for the Doctor. Those are the next 3 titles.
Nice.
Oh, now I gotta change them so I look more original. So they're about to die, and the Doctor is like, K9, you've been a real good boy.
Pulls an award out of his pocket.
First prize.
Right. Who just carries that around?
I mean, definitely the
The
doctor,
Doctor.
if anyone.
He had a barrister's wig in a previous serial.
That's true. That's true.
I would be so mad if, like, I was about to die and someone made just, like, a real terrible joke like that at me. I'd be like, how dare you make
That's
this...
the last thing I'm ever gonna hear. Thanks.
I gotta die with that terrible joke.
Let's be honest, that's how I'm gonna go.
That's how I'm gonna go. I'm gonna make a terrible joke and then you're gonna murder me.
No, I'm gonna be dying and you're gonna make some joke
yeah,
about
that's
being
true.
horny, and that's gonna be the last thing I ever hear. That's my future.
Oh, wedded bliss.
Toni, she was always horny for death.
Okay.
That's just a description of depression. Wow, this got dark. Okay.
Dark and weird. So weird.
The Doctor comes up with a plan to bounce the asteroid off of the TARDIS with cricket.
Spins it.
Yeah, he spins the TARDIS.
Everyone knows if you're spinning, you're immune to blunt force. That's just science.
They were saying a lot of cricket terminology, and I don't know anything about cricket.
I know you're setting me up for it, so I'm just gonna say it.
Go for it.
You gotta understand crumpet to understand cricket.
You're welcome. I set you up for your Ninja Turtles reference.
It's such a stupid line in Ninja Turtles. I love it so much. Doesn't make any sense.
And then he's like, I would have been a great bowler. Which that's a completely different sport, isn't it? Wow.
No, that's cricket.
Yeah, I know. I'm just being dumb.
No, fair enough.
He's being like that intentionally.
I'm pretending to be dumb on purpose. So
that
that when
later...
I am actually dumb, I can be like, no, that was also a joke. I'm always thinking 5 steps ahead, you see. Oh god, my next note says Nimon is horny for tributes.
Yeah, I told you only get one of those.
But yeah, he definitely wants them tributes. And he is told that the ship is running late, and he's going to withhold arms until they get the stuff on the ship to him. That whatever he's gonna give them. He's promised them, like, weapons, I guess, right?
Arms.
Not weapons, just literally arms.
Just a box full of loose arms.
Do not throw hands at me.
Right.
Soldeed comes out and explains what was said to him to his sort of second command, whose name I've already forgotten. It's like Sorak or something. And he's like talking about the journey of life. And he's like, what is that? And he's like, it's a metaphor. And then does not explain the metaphor.
I think my favorite thing about that scene is just like, it shows that other people are like, God, he is taxing to talk to.
Romana tries to get together a rebellion. Seth plans to destroy Nimon, according to Tika.
If you have a Tika in your life, there's nothing you can't do. She will cheer you on to greatness.
At this point, Seth is talking to Romana and confesses that he is neither a hero or a prince. He lied. He made that all up.
It's a good thing that they step away from the rest of the group and say this in private, rather than as they're sitting immediately next to them, so no one will hear.
You can see the background extras just like, should I pretend like I can't hear this? I'm going to just awkwardly look at the floor during this scene. Tika is literally right beside Seth as he says all this. And he's like, don't tell Tika.
But the camera is close in on just he and Romana, so that means the rest of them aren't really part of it.
Yeah, that's nice of them to just not listen when the camera's not on them. He says, please don't tell Tika. And she says, I promise. Cross my heart.
Both of them.
So the Doctor is trying to fix the TARDIS. He rigs up this great big thing, and then it explodes as if it is in a cartoon. It makes a series of bonks and whistles.
I mean, it's just embarrassing.
I loved it.
I mean, but at some point you have to think that they did that on purpose, right?
Of course they did it on purpose.
It's camp. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Also, like, his reaction is like, it's just beautifully timed, because he's just sitting there staring while all of these, like, noises keep happening. He's like, and then, like, it fades off, and then he just says something like, well, that's odd.
If there's one thing you can say for this serial, it's that it's having the most fun.
I don't know if it's necessarily concerned about telling a good story or anything.
No,
but it's having fun.
It's concerned about having a good time, and it's doing that.
If you say so.
So they arrive on the planet, and the tributes are brought in. And by the way, we haven't mentioned this at all, but they also have these crystals that they've been getting. They're radioactive crystals that do, science.
They do a radioactive science. They could be used for fuel.
Also, at this point, the co-pilot has taken off his helmet, and I did not know who he was. And I was like, who is this George Washington looking? And he tries to blame all the problems, the ship malfunctioning, the dead pilot, he tries to blame everything on Romana. And Soldeed does not buy this and shoves him through the CSO curtain into the power complex. The tributes are also put in there, including Romana. They're all just walking around in this maze.
Oh, you know what else we didn't say about the crystals?
What's that?
That they used one of them to fix the ship.
Okay, yes, and there's...
That's important.
Yeah, because there's less crystals than there were supposed to be.
Yes.
So you mentioned the power complex. This is a trope that I love in especially like 80s cartoons, which is something I love. The power complex, I love it when villains make their base look like them. So the power complex, and the Doctor will explain what else it looks like later in the series. But right in the middle of it, there are two giant Nimon horns that act as antenna. Like, that is just like this trope that I love from the 80s, is when they, like, the place that is their base looks like them, intentionally or not.
So in this case, power complex has a dual meaning.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
I think it has a triple meaning because Soldeed also has a power complex.
It's a triple meaning because there are 3 Nimon.
It would be kind of like if you went over to somebody's house and all of their chairs were like those hands and just like other various body part furniture.
And if they just kept saying, "Hey, what are you sitting on? A hand? Whose hand is that? Your hand? I mean, you own it, right?"
The hand of Toni.
Sorry, I just imagined a couch made out of laps, and now I'm very unnerved.
No.
Yeah, I did that to myself, and I had to inflict it upon other people.
Worst visual I've ever had. Thank you. Oh, you throw me off. That's so disgusting. They walk around in this maze. The power complex is you've got a minotaur. You have to have a labyrinth. I actually really like the design of this maze.
Yeah, the way that the walls, like the design on them, makes it so when you're looking at them, you can't tell like which direction anything's facing.
And they move the walls around a lot too, so that also makes it more disorienting. And it's also like you're walking around in a Charlie Brown sweater.
Wow.
Because it's got these great big, brown diamonds or whatever. So, but yeah, I really do like the design of it. And there's also even a bit later on when the Doctor's in there and he's like, for some reason, he's got some glow in the dark star stickers in his pocket. He's just sticking up on the walls. And then when he turns around, they're gone and the walls have moved around. So I thought that was a really interesting thing.
Before each adventure starts, he goes around through like a closet or something and just picks up things. I think I'll probably use this. This will come in handy this week. And so he just has random things. So he has a number 1 prize ribbon. He's got some stars and he just finds uses for them.
Do you think it's like a subscription box?
I think
for like eccentrics.
I think he just picks 3 random objects and he's like, I want to use these in the adventure somehow. I'll figure out how.
Exactly. That's what it is. He finds a use for the things that he has picked up.
The Doctor is just doing a big improv game that only he is playing.
Right. That does sound so Tom Baker.
That whole Doctor and pockets thing. I mean, the idea that you can reach in and just pull out whatever you need, that's something that's shown up in various versions of like Doctor Who role-playing games. And it's the idea that his pockets, and actually I think David Tennant even said, no, my pockets are bigger on the inside. So it makes sense. Tom Baker, to me, has been such an influence on my life, and one of the things that I do is I just pack my pockets full of things. But because of that, because you never know what you need, so I always have all kinds of things in my pocket. So,
are you saying that you play this game?
In a way, yes. It's usually not anything as useful as that, But for years, I carried a yo-yo around in my pocket, and that was just to check the gravity.
Yep, gravity on Earth is the same today as it was yesterday.
Who said I was on Earth?
Everything is good.
Still going down. Perfect.
I gotta know, what's in your pockets right now?
Nothing interesting. Keys.
Oh.
I've gotten old. I don't have enough room in my pockets because I have things I actually have to have now.
This is the weirdest version of Riddles in the Dark I've ever heard. So, the Doctor wants to materialize on the planet somewhere inconspicuous, and then Super doesn't. He just appears right in the middle of all the activity and then asks to be taken to the leader. Okay, so Romana and the, I'm just going to call him tributes because Nathan's is hard to say. Romana and the tributes are wandering around in the maze and they find...
Sounds like a band from the 80s, incidentally.
We're in the 80s now,
I know.
So yeah.
Romana and the Tributes.
That sounds like a band I would, like, listen to their entire discography.
It's not as good as Nathan Turner Overdrive.
Oh, that's good.
But it's good.
But Romana and the tributes find this husk, this body.
Yep.
That's very gross. It's just, it looks like a mummy. And, of course, the first thing, I think it's Tika, is like, I won't touch that thing. Why? Can people just leave corpses alone? Why is that so hard?
And then it crumbles. And then it's a really interesting effect because basically the table that it's laying on jumps. You know, it's like, and that's what makes the thing. That's how they achieve the effect. I think that's like when you talk about practical effects, that's as practical as it gets.
I liked it. It made me jump, so that works.
I didn't. I like it. I mean,
yeah.
It was effective in that I was like, gross!
So, the doctor is brought to Soldeed and is asked about Romana. I don't remember what he says, but he gets his little plot device thing and then bolts because they want to do something bad to the doctor. And he's like, I'm not going to stick around for this. And then runs into the power complex. And that's when he does his whole stickers on the wall.
They're actually trying to make him go into the power complex. And he was like, no! And then runs away into the power complex.
He's going to do it on his own terms.
Right.
Meanwhile, Romana and the tributes have found more bodies, though these are alive and are in vacuum-like packed tubes. They're just like in little cases on the wall.
Like little action figures.
You gotta take them down off the shelf. They're like tiered too. They're not like, I believe they go up. You know what I mean? And then the co-pilot, who's been wandering around in the maze this whole time, finds them, points a gun at them, and says, huddle up, you guys, and then starts calling out for the Nimon. The Nimon arrives and says that the co-pilot sucks and is lying. Because he's like, Soldeed sent me in here with these guys to bring them to you. And he's like, no, you didn't. You're lying. Soldeed just put you in here because you did something bad. And then that's when the co-pilot goes, no, really? And then the Minotaur shoots him with his horns. He just bends over and little light beams shoot out of his horns and kills the co-pilot, who falls down and splits his pants.
Yes, he does.
I was so distracted, like, the whole scene, because I was like, is that what just happened? Did I just watch that happen?
That's at the end of the episode, right? So that it gets repeated at the beginning of the next episode. Just because it's funny.
And he's, like, dead now. That's a really embarrassing way to go.
That's what the Nimon will do to you. I mean, that may be one of the biggest gaffes in Doctor Who. Like, on-screen screw-ups. I mean, there are other ones, but that one stands out.
They showed it twice, so...
And it's very, very noticeable.
Just, like, crop the frame a little bit or something.
Aww.
Protect that guy's modesty. That is the end of episode 2. We are now into episode 3, which I have called The Cheating Maze. And we get a 2-minute and 30-second recap. I timed it. That's been happening a lot this season. Just super long recaps.
They really wanted you to see those, the pants split again. Like, in case you missed it last week, his pants split.
And they give you time to prepare for it. This time you're ready for it. It doesn't happen out of the blue. You're like, oh, okay, I know what's coming. Here it comes.
Like, I can imagine the BBC announcer was like, you may have missed it last week. Be sure to watch the guy's pants split.
I can't even tell you the name of the character because he doesn't have a name. Just the guy who looks like George Washington.
Co-pilot.
But the doctor shows up because the Nimon starts like approaching the tributes in Romana. But the doctor shows up and distracts him, leads him away from them, literally with a red cape.
Of course.
And he tries to shoot the doctor with his laser horns. The doctor moves the cape and he hits one of the random dudes on a wall. Which, did it kill the random dude on the wall? It's not he couldn't have put that cape somewhere else?
He's fine, probably. Don't worry about it.
Is this the second time the doctor has led a Minotaur away with a cape? I'm pretty sure that happened in the Time Monster? Is it Time Monster? One of the Atlantis times. The third Doctor one.
Time Monster, yeah. That Minotaur is played by David Prowse.
The Doctor has a lot of experience with these Minotaurs. Though I don't think that one was a Nimon. Maybe it was. Who knows? But the Doctor, Romana, Seth, and Tika all get away. They run away from this. I think Romana shoots. I think she gets co-pilot's gun and shoots the Nimon. And then they all run away. And she's like, come on, let's go. And then
And then her pants split.
She says, let's go, and then, everybody runs except for 5 of the tributes who just stand there like idiots, and the Nimon's like, well, oh, I got you guys, and it's conveniently all the ones that had crystals.
Well, the crystals are so heavy, they're hard to run with.
Right.
Regardless of how flimsy they look.
Meanwhile, Soldeed is, trying to study the TARDIS. There is a very awkward shot where him and his second-in-command guy are just staring at the TARDIS, and we cut to the inside where K9 is watching them on a monitor. And they just stare at each other for 20 seconds. And I'm like, is this shot gonna do something or end?
It does end, eventually.
My next note says, the Doctor says the maze is a cheat. He's very upset that the walls move. He's like, it can't be a proper maze if the walls move. That's cheating.
I know we don't get an explanation for why the walls move until the next episode.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I just want to say it now because I think it's really neat. He basically says, because he says earlier that the shape of it reminds him of something. And he realizes that the walls are moving because it's a circuit board. So circuits are opening and closing, and that's what's moving, which I think is a really neat idea.
They really should have made a bigger point of that, I think.
It'd have been cool to see, someone get crushed.
No!
The walls close on them.
That'd be bad.
Ooh.
Or at least almost.
Almost crushed. That's fine.
We saw a dude just, turn into dust, so,
Yeah, and that made me sad, too. I went, oh no.
I mean, he was already dead, so.
Yeah, but it was still sad.
All right. So the Nimon has all of the tributes give their crystal offerings to this hole in the wall. This sounds so dirty.
That's all you. That's all on you.
It's just the worst. And he also pulls a lever that makes a purring noise when he does it. It's all very creepy. But once they've all put their little crystals in the little hole in the wall, he's like, all right, cool. And then just starts shooting them. I've used you, so don't need you anymore. And then just tilts over and starts shooting them.
I love that they bring them just so they can put the crystals in the hole in the wall. So they literally, bring them from Anna. They put the crystals in, and then he's like, all right, I don't need you anymore. They brought them just to be it's almost like they're like, hey, go to that planet and bring me back, 7 tributes because I need someone to change this light bulb. For some reason, the last time they brought him, he, dehydrated them. So I don't know if he's like, okay, they changed the light bulb. Now I'm going to use them for food later or what the deal was. But these guys, he just kills them. And it's just they come they come across the galaxy or from a planet nearby or whatever just to do this menial thing of being like, oh yeah, here's this thing. I'm going to put it in this hole. Okay, now I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, why didn't they get turned into dust? Do you think when you turn the Anethans into dust, that's like drugs for the Nimon?
Turn into crack cocaine.
Yeah, that's a reference to Nightmare of Eden.
Well, it's kind of like the Children of Earth, the Torchwood thing as well. Have that same idea.
They're in the control hub of stuff. And the Doctor is going to need K9's help, so he whistles for him. Meanwhile, Soldeed has been trying to get into the TARDIS. Can't do it. And he's like, it's impossible to open! And then the door opens, and K9 just rolls on out. Someone shoots K9. K9's like, the hell? And turns around and shoots one of the guards. And then Soldeed shoots K9 and deactivates him.
Oh no.
And they get him and they take him away. They're studying that control room, and the Doctor thinks it could be a transmat, but it's not a transmat. Talks more about the black hole. Soldeed doesn't know about the black hole because he had talked to Soldeed about it earlier, and he's like, if Soldeed doesn't know that, why is he doing this if he doesn't know what they're doing? It is Sorak, Soldeed's second in command. Also is like, hey, what's in this for the Nimon? And Soldeed says, gods just be like that sometimes. Who knows? He honestly has no idea what they're doing, and just figures, okay, I'm just going along with it. That's just how gods work. You just gotta trust them.
You offer them tribute, and they give you shit.
I won't worry about any consequences whatsoever. Then the Doctor and Romana, and Seth and Tika all hide as the Nimon comes in and starts fiddling with controls. And then the horns glow. The great big evil bass horns glow. And Tika's like, what's happening? And Seth says, I don't know. And she's like, why don't you know? And he's like, I don't know.
He's had enough of her shit by this point.
And then an egg appears.
Egg.
And it's got more Nimons in it. Oh no. Then the Nimons sort of talk a bit, and then they head off to go do Nimon business. And the Doctor walks over and he taps the egg with a spoon, which I think was a nice callback, because he did the same thing earlier. In
He still has a teaspoon. He still has an open mind.
Yeah. What was that episode? Creature from the Pit. Like
This one's not really an egg, though.
No, it's a transport. They're gonna work on the transport egg, and he gives Romana the spoon. And then the Doctor is a complete idiot and teleports the egg with Romana still inside of it.
Didn't even check.
And then he's like, oh shit, did I? Uh-oh. And then before he can get her back, Soldeed shows up and says, you meddling fool! And shoots the control panel. And the Doctor's like, uh-oh. And Soldeed points his little gun at him, and that's the end of episode 3.
Which leads us to the episode with some of the best lines in Doctor Who history.
Yes.
We are in episode 4, which I have called Journey's End.
How dare you?
Well, there's the journey of life, Tony.
That's right.
It's a metaphor.
For what?
The end of this serial. So Seth shoots Soldeed.
You did it.
Yeah. The Doctor, Seth, and Tika are talking. And in the background, Soldeed just stands back up, sneaks away, and then cackles really loudly.
He is... I love campy villains. I mean, it's just one of my things. I used to just keep just a mustache just because I could feel a little more villainous. And Soldeed, man, he is probably my all-time favorite one-off campy villain. I mean, he's like that, just like running off cackling.
He could have gotten away with it if he just not haggled.
No, I absolutely love this last story. This last piece of the serial is amazing because Soldeed is just off the charts in campiness.
That's true, but the thing I'm about to talk about is probably one of my least favorite aspects of the whole serial. Romana is on this other planet, Krenoth. She's wandering around there, and she bumps into this new character who we're supposed to care about. Sezam, it doesn't matter. It's this guy. He's basically the Soldeed of this planet, and he saves her from some Nimons because he's got like a gun that he's like tinkered with. He's put a rock in it, and it works better.
It's a wizard staff, really.
It's the same staff Soldeed has.
Yeah, but with like a rock shoved into the end of it. And he explains that Krenoth was destroyed by the Nimons, and he kind of let it happen. Like, they used up all of their resources and shit. And,
there's no real explanation why they, like, let him hang around.
It wasn't that they let him hang around. I feel like he's been, like,
sneaky.
John McClaning it.
He turned into a freedom fighter, right? I mean, that's the way I always took it, is he's kind of the last of the resistance, trying to fight the Nimons off as best they can.
I mean, and it's not like a bad concept, but also we're in the last episode, and it's just like suddenly there's this other character that I have literally no time to get attached to, and spoilers, he's gonna die in like 5 minutes. Also we forgot to say, Soldeed has opened up K9 and is like tearing him apart. I just said that just so I could make Tony sad.
My poor dog.
But it's okay. Sorak is repairing him because he thinks things are not going great either, so he's gonna see what's up with this robot dog. Seth and Tika, in the process of chasing Soldeed, have gotten a bit split up. because of the crazy maze. Tika is caught by Soldeed, and he offers her to the Nimon. He starts calling out for the Nimon. And then 3 Nimons show up.
There they are.
And Soldeed, his jaw drops. And he's like, huh? It's great. It's so over the top and wonderful. Meanwhile, the doctor has brought back the capsule, but it's... The egg. He brings it back thinking Romana's in it. But it's just full of Nimons.
Yeah, just more Nimon. So
he just immediately sends it back. Sorak finishes putting K9 together. K9 talks to him a bit, telling him, like, put me down on the floor. And he's like, I want to make sure that, you're, like, capable, or, I don't know. He's wanting to test K9. So K9 lightly shoots him. Enough to tingle. And then he's like, okay, cool. He's like, well, put him down on the ground. So he does, and K9 just bolts out of there. Well, he slowly rolls out of there as fast as K9 can.
As fast as his little legs will take him.
And Sorak's like, wait, where are you going? Stop. But it's too late. K9's just too fast for Sorak. So, yeah, then we get some more exposition from Sezam about, like, the Nimons plan to convert the whole planet of Krinoth into energy. And he's rigged his scepter with Jasonite?
Scringe stone.
There's more Nimons, and they shoot the Nimons, and then the Nimons shoot Sezam or whatever, and he gives her a piece of the Scringe stone, and she's like, I'm going to take it, and then he's going to hold off the Nimons while she gets in the capsule. And then he dies, so we're sad. Or supposed to be. And then the Nimons meanwhile stopped the doctor from doing whatever he's doing, trying to get Romana back. And then they pull the capsule back and it has Romana in it. So they did the doctor's job for him. And then she throws Seth the Jasonite. He shoves it in his scepter and he shoots the Nimons with it. And because before it didn't really do anything to the Nimons, but now it will. It doesn't kill them, but it
stuns them a little bit.
Stuns them. Knocks them out for a while. And then K9 shows up and also shoots a Nimon, getting in on the action. Romana and Seth are looking for Tika, and they find her in the dead person storage. They call it the larder. And then the best scene happens. Soldeed comes in and calls Romana a meddlesome hussy.
Meddlesome hussy. That is the best line ever written in Doctor Who.
I actually used to own that URL.
Did you?
Meddlesomehussy.com.
Oh my god, that's brilliant.
What was on there?
I didn't do anything with it. I just owned it.
I bet someone's got that on Tumblr. I bet that's someone's username.
If it isn't, it is now.
Meddlesomehussy.com is currently not a thing. So we could claim it and do something with it. I don't know what. But
just link to this episode of the podcast.
There you go.
I love that. Just the way he said, "You meddlesome hussy." It's just so over the top.
This whole scene is amazing. Just how
very much
ridiculously over the top he's being.
And this scene is the reason this story is amazing. Like I could take or leave any of the rest of it, but from this point to the end is just like full tilt. It is just full tilt camp. Like in this scene, you get like 3 of the best different lines. You get you meddlesome hussy. You get. I've practiced this a lot. Like I said, if I were gonna cosplay anything, it would be Soldeed, and it would just be me calling everyone a meddlesome hussy. And then Romana gets to ask Soldeed how many Nimons he has seen.
How many Nimons have you seen today?
3! I've seen 3 Nimons! And I don't know if it's this scene or another one, but he goes, my dreams of conquest! And I took that and I drew an image of Soldeed just like daydreaming, and it's just this. I think it's on Facebook somewhere, but it's just him with a thought bubble, and it's just like spaceships destroying other planets, and there are like 3 Nimons in the background just looking at him. But I don't know. I just imagine Soldeed daydreams. Like, what he does during the day is daydream about just destroying planets.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Right. But his dreams of conquest, he says it, and it's just amazing. Every word that comes out of his mouth in this era is just Doctor Who gold. Or in this scene, rather.
He's like dragging his hand down his face as he says
Yes, my dreams of conquest.
Then he points at him and says, like, you know, it's you've done this to me. And then he runs and pulls a lever that's gonna do something bad, cause things to explode.
Is this the scene that they shoot him?
Yeah.
So all this happens at the same time when he dies?
Yeah. It's at 11, this whole thing.
Yeah, and so they shoot him. And then what did he say? You fools!
You're doomed!
Doomed!
As he slides down the wall.
Now, that's something they talk about in the commentary, and I think that's something, like, originally he didn't do that. And then, like, Tom Baker would come in even on the days he wasn't shooting.
Of course.
And he would be like, do this. And he would, like, feed him things to do. And I think, I haven't watched it in a while, but I think he said that whole scene was Tom Baker, like, feeding him things to do.
It's glorious.
It was just amazing. I mean, it was just like the planets were aligned for all of the camp in this story. I love it. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. That scene's the best.
For me, this is one of the things that I love about Doctor Who, is that it can do this kind of thing. And yes, we joke about it, and sure, this is a horrible story or whatever, but the fact that it exists is enough for me. And the fact that Doctor Who can do that kind of thing and no one really thinks twice. They may say it's crappy or whatever, but it can happen. And I don't know. I think this is this story represents such a big portion of Doctor Who and what it can do. I mean, it's this great epic, well, maybe not epic, but it's this great space opera. There's all this stuff going on, and then you have this campy villain twirling his mustache and talking about his dreams of conquest. But, man, this scene is just amazing. Okay, we can end the podcast.
Honestly, if the episode had ended right here, it probably would have been a little bit better. Because, like, the next thing that happens is, well, the power complex is going to explode, but they have to get out of the maze. So there is a very long montage of just like, all right, let's go left. K9 is leading the way, and then he's like, here we are. And they're like, this is just more maze, K9. And then he rolls through the wall.
It was an illusion.
It's the CSO curtain. And then everyone gets out, and then they tell everybody, get out, it's going to explode. And then it explodes. The explosion is actually pretty cool. There's like a piece of the building that like spins in the air as it explodes.
In a flimsy sort of way.
Yeah, but usually it's just fire, but this is fire and pieces rolling, and that always makes me excited.
They're like, this is so crappy. We don't want anyone to think they should use this again. Make it blow up.
So the Doctor gets on the TARDIS, and he's tinkering with it some more. And then, just because we haven't had enough explosions, they look at the scanner, and we see Krinoth, the other planet, sort of explode. Because that was the whole thing. It was like the black hole was like allowing the travel between
the two planets.
Doesn't
that make it a wormhole and not a black hole?
You know, probably.
Shh, science.
Hole's a hole.
Pseudoscience.
Then we get the ending from Underworld. We get the same ending from Underworld, right? Where he's basically like, they're like, Seth is a legend now. And Tika's going to make that a thing. And then the Doctor's like, well, at least this time I did this one thing or whatever, which I didn't do it last time. Like, and he's referencing the Greek mythology.
Right.
Which is the same thing he did at the end of, I believe, Underworld, which was also based on mythology. And
which is a really weird thing to do.
To just straight up say, hey, this is the thing we ripped off.
Yeah, to have the Doctor be like, this is a reference. Okay.
It'd be like the end of Brandon Morbius. He was just like, hey, remember Frankenstein? Anyway, episode's over. But they tease each other a little bit. Romana, I don't even remember what they're saying, but Romana like crinkles her nose at him, It's like super adorable.
Yes.
And that's the end of the serial. That's the end of the Horns of Nimon.
I always like to think that scene at the end was the beginning of their relationship. That was like when when Lala Ward was like, Tom, and it's caught on camera. It probably isn't, but that's what I always like to think. It's like that moment is when she's like, maybe I'll say yes. No one else has.
A question: when did they get married? How long were they married?
Not long. I don't know when. I mean, it was like less than 6 months, probably, from what I gathered.
Was it in the middle of Doctor Who? Was it after?
I'm fairly certain they were going through the divorce when the next season was like going on.
Oh no!
Oh wow!
I don't know, but I've read a few things here and there. I think that's accurate, but I don't know.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be back for final thoughts.
We are the Cigar Nerds, bringing nerdy sophistication and geeky indulgence on all topics, including movies, video games, science, and pop culture news, all from the Nerd Cave Cigar Lounge. Find us on iTunes, Stitchers, Google Play, and wherever fine podcasts are found, including ESONetwork.com and CigarNerdPodcast.com. So fire up a cigar, it's time to get nerdy.
And we're back. Tony.
Hey,
what?
Joe.
Yeah?
Do you know what time it is?
It's time for final thoughts.
It is.
No, it does. It does feel weird if you don't do the bit.
I told you. I told you you'd regret it.
Oh,
It's too late now, though. You already said it. It's already time.
Oh, goodness. I feel weird.
Incomplete.
I do. Can you at least...
Would you like to know what time it is?
Yeah, what time is it, Tony?
Yeah.
Oh, no, don't tell me the actual time.
It's 9:18.
Oh, how dare you. Anyway, final thoughts.
It's 9:18 and it's time for final thoughts.
Bit done.
Final thoughts.
I don't know if Alan or Ashley should go first. Which one of you is more horny for Nimon?
I told you only get one of those.
I mean, I think it's clearly Ashley's more horny for Nimon, so he should go last.
Yeah.
Because he's clearly the most passionate.
Yes, that's probably accurate.
We can end on the note of the most love.
Alan, what are your final thoughts?
A really great, fun story. I think it is, if you take everything that you think of the Graham Williams era and boil it down to its most pure form, that's what this story is. It sums up everything that, when you think about Graham Williams and you think about the silliness and the off the railsness and the, out of control lead actor and all this kind of stuff, this is the summation of the whole thing. So, I mean, it's fun. It is definitely fun. It's not great, but it's fun. That's my final thought.
Yeah, I think Joe and I were talking about it earlier today, and Joe was talking about what a bad episode it is. And I said, yeah, but it's one of the first, we've been kind of saying that a lot lately, as we get to the end of an episode, and we're like, that wasn't one of the best ones. But this was one of the first ones where I was like, this wasn't one of the best ones, but I did have a fun time watching it. Any time you have at least one actor who just decided to go bonkers and go straight to Hamtown, that's great. And we've got 3 in this one. So, yeah, there's something to love about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think what I specifically said was, we've had bad episodes. We've had okay episodes. But I feel like this is legitimately the first time it's been so bad it's good, which is not normally a thing I'm, super into. Sometimes. But, this is the first time where I'm like, this is bad. I love it.
I think we've all used the word bad, which is what Ashley has very consistently used the word camp.
Yes, camp. Well, I mean, I don't know, no, really! I enjoy it because that is a terrible line reading, I feel like.
It's a campy choice, though.
Yeah, that's true. Nightmare of Eden had a very similar line reading that was so bad it's good, where the ship is about to crash into the other ship, and then it's the shot of the guy looking right in the camera and going, "Oh no!" But that, it's on a similar level for me. But yeah.
But one of them is a fun choice, and one of them is just bad.
That's, I guess.
And that's what camp is.
And then he falls down and splits his pants, which is pretty amazing. This is definitely an episode I don't know if I'd recommend people, if they're what should I watch first? It probably would not be this one. But maybe a highlights reel of, here are some of the crazier moments of Doctor Who and how silly it can get. And I actually enjoy a lot of the humor in it. I like the cartoon explosion of the TARDIS followed by the, well, that's odd, and all of the silliness. I think maybe some of the silliness goes a bit too far sometimes. Like, I don't know if the first prize award makes a whole lot of sense. Like, that specifically feels like Tom Baker was like, I got a good joke, and no one stopped him. But, yeah, I thought this was fun. And, like, Soldeed, just Soldeed, man. Soldeed's great. And also some great set design, and some questionable set design, sound-wise, and questionable design for the Nimons themselves, who I feel so bad for.
Yeah, it's not that they look bad. It's that I can
clearly
feel
tell.
their discomfort of the actors.
Like, oh god, my neck. Also, am I going to run into this person? I can't. Oh god. But yeah, those are my final thoughts.
There are parts about the story I love. I love the campiness of it. I love that. I think that sums up, like Alan said, it sums up this era of Doctor Who. But I think it gives us permission to have this kind of thing in Doctor Who. In my mind, Doctor Who is not this serious thing where we're telling these serious stories. It definitely can do that. But it is also this. It is very lighthearted. It's very fun. And this is a fun story. I absolutely love Soldeed. He is everything I want there to be in a villain. I love the over-the-top lines, the deliveries, everything. Just, the 3 Nimons and the you meddlesome hussy. All of those things, just over the top. I mean, even the fact that someone wrote, you meddlesome hussy, in a Doctor Who script, or if someone wrote, that my dreams of conquest, all of these things, these are all things that I say on a daily basis. Like, at work, they're just like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, my dreams of conquest. I mean, I think everyone, when someone's turned down at work for something or whatever you do, they're like, no, you can't do that. You just slap your face and pull your eyes down and go, my dreams of conquest. It just makes the day go better.
I'm so doing that at work tomorrow.
And if anyone ever asks you at work, how many Nimon have you seen today?
I would say 3. I've seen 3 Nimon. And then if, like, a coworker comes in and says something I don't like, I'll be like, you meddlesome hussy. And then I'll probably get fired.
Fired.
But that's neither here nor there. But no, I mean, I love this story. It's got like space opera. It's got some action, some adventure. K9 actually gets to do something in it. He's not just relegated to the TARDIS. It's a good story. I mean,
and his batteries don't run down, do they?
Right, no. I mean, he gets stuck on a table for a while, but he has a purpose, and you get to see, Romana owns this. I mean, every time she talks, she's so demanding. I mean, so commanding. Not demanding. She commands the audience. She commands Soldeed. She's like, how many Nimons have you seen? And he fiddles around, and it's like, how many? And you have to answer. Like, she has more control over Soldeed, who is the villain, than she did over Copilot. Soldeed's just like, oh, it's over. Like, I've made a mistake. I've ruined my planet. I'm gonna die. So yeah, no, I won't keep going. Those are my final thoughts. I think it's just fun, and it says something about what Doctor Who can do.
Nice.
All right. So before we go, is there anything you guys would like to plug? Ashley, anything you want to plug?
I have, for those of you who are local-ish, if anyone's in the Chattanooga, Cleveland area, I do a toy and comic book show in September, and in Cleveland, Tennessee, at Cleveland State Community College. And that will be coming up September 21st. It's always a fun time. We have vendors and artists and all kinds of different people. So that's really what I'm doing these days. The last episode, I think I talked about the role-playing game I'm working on. I'm still working on that. We're just still working on it. One day I will get a book so Alan can help me publish it.
Right on.
But until then, that's what I've got.
Alan, anything you want to plug?
Sure. You can find all about me and my books and my new publishing company at cosmicpress.com, spelled KOZMIC press.com.
Awesome. I've been reading your books, and they're good. I'm like halfway through the greatest Doctor Who one.
Good. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I mean, same thing as always. Please find and watch The Unseen World.
Right on.
Isn't Alan possibly going to be in season 2?
Yeah. We're going to
The Land of Oz.
The Land of Oz, the theme park.
I'm so excited!
All the internet things say it's abandoned, but it's not abandoned. It's just privately owned, and they only open it for like special events.
It was abandoned for a long time. They spent a lot of time refurbishing it, and it seems like a lot of time to refurbish something to only have it open like 2 weekends a year.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to ask him about it.
But I went when I was a small tyke, so 50 years ago. I've not been since, and I'm incredibly excited about seeing it again. Seeing it again for the first time.
It's going to be really cool. So I don't know when that'll actually air because we haven't even shot it yet, and then I'm going to have to edit it. But you can watch it on Roku.
Yeah, you can watch it on the Heartland Network. You can watch it on the Heartland Network Roku app, or you can watch it on
WatchHeartlandTV.com, maybe? Yes.
Yeah, when it airs live. It's not streaming on the website. You can only find it streaming on the Roku.
I think that's Tuesdays at 8?
I don't know. I actually don't have a live TV.
You can also, if you just want to sort of check it out and get a feel for it, there is an episode up on my website, which is TonyBHeath.com. And there's just a section for The Unseen World. You can watch some clips from it there.
Yeah, there's one whole segment. Not a whole episode, just a segment. Speaking of TV shows, I'm working on one that's hopefully going to be coming out soon. It's called House of the Son of the Dragon, which is a wraparound show. I don't want to
Don't want to say too much.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be coming out soon. So just keep an eye out for House of the Son of the Dragon. I think it's going to be airing on Action. I'm not sure.
Action.
We don't know where it's going to be airing yet. We've started another podcast.
Weekly podcast. We put more effort into it than Watch-A-Thon. No, we don't.
No. Well, our friends Bree Castellini and Chris Cherry are doing a podcast called Burn Noticed, where they watch every episode of the USA Network show Burn Notice. And we are doing a podcast called Burn Noticed, where we listen to every episode of Burn Noticed and talk about it. We don't talk about, we talk about Burn Notice a little bit, but it's not a podcast about Burn Notice. It's a podcast about Burn Noticed, the podcast that Bree and Chris host.
Wow.
It's meta.
So that's something we've been doing. We've done, 3 episodes of that so far.
Yeah.
You can go to Twitter and it's BNN Pod.
I mean, really, if you listen to this podcast and you're like, my favorite parts are the parts where they're just bullshitting,
that's what it is.
You'll love it.
So that's the nonsense we do in our spare time.
These are our hobbies.
But if you liked this episode of the Watch-A-Thon of Rassilon, you can check out more on WatchARassilon.com. And be sure to rate and comment on our iTunes, because that does iTunes magic.
The more people we have who have rated us, the more iTunes decides to show us to other people. And the more iTunes shows us to other people, the more people hear us. And the more people hear us, the more powerful I get.
And the more people listen to us will also listen to Burn Noticed, and then we take over the universe. If you'd like to help us out even more, you can go to WatchARassilon.com/support.